All right, well, welcome to today's podcast. I'm your host, Scott Engler, and I'm a published author and thought leader on career transitioning and really branding yourself specifically on LinkedIn to attract job opportunities to you instead of just doing what most people are continuing to do without success, which is chasing jobs, filling out online applications. So this is actually part 2 of a 3-part series that I mentioned I was going to be doing for the next 3 weeks. So last week, if you hadn't watched, was really it was pretty simple. It was the 6 things that LinkedIn specifically measures to have your profile at 100%. Now, one thing I do want to mention that someone on LinkedIn said yesterday, which actually is a good transition into this, is, he said, well, my profile is at 100% and I'm not getting any job opportunities. What's the deal? Well, I was able to respond to him. I'm like, well, I definitely could see why that's not doing the deal, because really that's just a basic start to have a profile at 100%. Although most people don't have 100% because they don't know what criteria LinkedIn uses, it doesn't mean that you're going to get the job that you want. So that's why there's a process to everything, right? If it was just enough to get in shape by having the right clothes and shoes and gym membership, then everybody in the world would probably be in really good shape. So this is not any different. However, there are certain things that you can do to have something working for you, which is what I think most of us would all agree that we want, is if you could really create a presence and profile and professional brand that begins doing some of the work for you of attracting opportunities to you in your job search. So especially the people that I primarily work with, they already have a job. They're still at their job, but that job or role it used to work for them. It's no longer working for them. So really what I've helped people do is optimize their job search, right? So if I take someone that had been spending anywhere from 15 to sometimes 30 hours looking for work on top of their current job, I help them bring that down to 3 to 5, sometimes even less. And one of the ways that I help people do this is not just because I help them really create a customized strategy that works best for them. We kind of, we look back and we figure out what has worked best for them in the past, but we also help them create a really strong presence on LinkedIn. Now, is it LinkedIn 100% of the time that works for everyone? Of course not. But for the sake of this podcast, you wouldn't be listening if you weren't interested in how LinkedIn works to help attract recruiters to you. So that being said, we're going to really talk about the essentials of branding 101. So today I'm really going to talk about a lot of it'd be like the principles of branding and what I see all the time. I look at and review job seekers' profiles all the time, and I can tell you what most people are doing that is not effective and working at all. So today we're going to talk about, because we're talking about a branding, it's not the same as optimizing, right? So this is what's working to engage and attract opportunities. It's not necessarily like a percentage scale of if you do these 5 things, your profile is going to have 100% and you're going to be at the top of the search. So this is a little bit different. So hopefully you could understand that. So the first thing that most people don't do that is vital is they're not speaking in a way that is connecting to the reader. They're speaking, and this is where you have to know your platform, you have to know your audience, you have to know the time, because I've been doing this for close to 6 years and things shift. So for instance, they're not speaking in first person on their summary, on their profile. They're using lots of bullet points for their work experience, and they're speaking in that third person on their summary. All those things are maybe acceptable if you're Oprah Winfrey and you don't need a job, but it's not engaging someone that doesn't know you, right? Oprah Winfrey could do whatever she wants. She could have a third person and everybody knows who she is, so it's not a big deal. But for the majority of us, you need to engage me and tell me who you are. Why are you passionate about what you do? There needs to be more than ever a connection that happens and a story that needs to be told. So this is really something that's very big about branding, and I think people kind of shake their head and nod and understand, but then they don't necessarily know what that looks like practically speaking. So one of the things when I'm reviewing profiles that I'm often telling people is use more I statements. Show me the why. Why do you do what you do? You know, there's a blending of credibility, there's a blending of accomplishments, there's a blending of highlighting, you know, your career accomplishments, but also at the same time integrating a connection with me. So there really is an art to it, but that's a very powerful way that people could engage. And then the other thing is knowing where to really put in the time to highlight and engage. So you may have heard me mention, if you've been following me for a while, is the 3 most important parts of a LinkedIn profile is your profile picture, your headline, and your profile summary. Specifically, the first 2 lines of your profile summary. The reason why is because it's the first 3 things anybody's going to see when they're searching you. And your profile summary is actually, according to LinkedIn, the staff at LinkedIn, is the number 1 thing that recruiters look at. Now, I would say 25% of people that are using Career Premium don't even have a profile summary filled out. So you could see why that is not good at all. They want to know who you are. What is the summary of what you've done? And I like to tell people it's about 80-20 rule, probably even more of a differentiation, maybe even like 90-10. But most people aren't going to read past your profile summary. They may read your first job, your most recent job experience. And I personally, when I'm doing business with people, I like to look at people's recommendations. I know recruiters like to look at people's professional recommendations as well. So I typically will read their summary. If I'm interested, I'll kind of scroll down and I'll look at what other people have said about them and if I know them. So that is actually what a lot of other recruiters do as well. I'm not a recruiter, but recruiters happen to do that too. They're looking for this credibility as well, social proof. So how are you having a presence that is doing the work of attracting people to me? So how are you engaging me? Why would I want to hire you? Who are you wanting to work for? How are you telling a story that is gaining attention, interest, desire, and action, right? That's IDA. It's a term for digital marketing, and it's like, are you gaining my attention? So those first 2 lines, your picture, your headline, have you captured my attention? Like I tell people all the time, recruiters spend an average of 6 seconds looking at a profile before they skip over it. Now, what I want you to do, just for fun, because I was thinking about this yesterday, why don't you time what 6 seconds feels like? Seriously, I think people don't really understand how short of a time that is. Why don't you do yourself a favor for fun, right? 6 seconds. Everyone could spare 6 seconds. Time 6 seconds. Go on someone else's LinkedIn and see what you could accomplish in 6 seconds. So you will start to understand why people are complaining all the time. I don't get contacted about jobs. I get contacted about the wrong jobs. Well, I'll tell you why, because you're not doing an effective job of branding yourself from the start. You probably have a headline that shows like 3 different roles that you could do. Like it could say like visual, graphic designer, communications, marketing. Those are like so many broad things. And when I see someone's profile like that and I start reading their summary and they're telling me 20 different things they've done over their career, I'm already done. And that's how I know recruiters, I know for a fact, because I speak to them all the time. They're the same way. Done. I don't have the time to really sift through and ask these follow-up questions to them. So because of that, I'm skipping over the next one. I'm gonna go with someone that's really more clear and direct, because I have to place a candidate in a certain amount of time. And again, I'm not a recruiter, but I'm saying this is what's going through their head. I don't have time to ask these follow-up questions to them. I'm going to go on to the next person that is crystal clear about what they want, and I'm going to start saying, contacting them and seeing if they're interested in this job. So that's something to keep in mind. Like I said, do it. Why not? What do you have to lose? Time 6 seconds and see how far you could get down someone's profile. That is the average amount of time a recruiter is going to spend looking at your profile. So bear this in mind. Like I said, get those first 3 sections really dialed in. Your summary, your headline, your picture. And then the other thing is how you engage the credibility with everything else. So some people are really good at, most people are doing, what I find for job seekers, most people are doing a better job of showing I've been in digital marketing for 20 years, and they may throw in some quantitative data, but they're not using any sort of language that is giving me any type of story. Why is it that they're great at it? One of the things I like that people, I see some people do is they paint a picture of the organization that they'd want to be at. Think about the qualities of the organization, and you're going to get a better fit. Again, I always compare this to dating. If you're reading someone's profile and the woman is like, I want a guy, that is such a broad thing, right? I want to be with the guy. It's like, oh, okay, that's awesome. You want to be with the guy. There's, how many billions of guys in the world. But if she said, I want to be with a man that is a musician and he has dark hair and he is Latino, whatever. She might not say that, but just the more specific she could get, if he, she might say, I love people that are vegetarians or whatever, just to be able to describe that guy, she's going to be able to really get more congruency and alignment with who she is matching with. And that's part of branding, is how do you describe that? Because let me tell you the truth, most job seekers are not doing a great job of A, connecting and building that interest from the recruiters and being clear on what they want, and B, they're not doing a good job of expressing what they want. They're not telling me, they're not showing me those characteristics. Of course you want a job, right? Of course you want to work in maybe, even if you're clear enough, I still want to do marketing. That's great, but like what kind of, industry do you want to be in? What kind of, marketing for what? Do you want to do marketing for health and wellness? Do you want to do marketing for transportation? There's so many different areas around that. So the more specific and the better picture you could paint of who you are and what role or where you want to connect with, the more likely you're going to attract the right recruiters and start drawing in more opportunities with you. And again, this is on top of understanding some of the dynamics of how to optimize your profile. I did go over that last week. LinkedIn is pretty easy on what they consider 100% quote unquote, but there's a lot of other things that you could do to higher optimize your profile so you show up higher in the search results and have more visibility. Those are things I really get into more when I'm working with people more in depth and one-on-one, because again, it's like anything else, there's a process. If I shared every single thing that I knew with people right away, they would be completely lost and overwhelmed. So that's why these things are a step-by-step process. You want to get down the basics and really expand from there. So that's what I got for today. Again, just to recap, if you're listening to this and you are wanting to attract more opportunities to you, you're working at that job that's no longer working for you, it's toxic, it's time to leave, you're not sure how the job search game has changed, you don't want to spend all this time filling out profiles, great. 95% of recruiters are on LinkedIn anyway. This is the new way. This is the biggest way right now. So begin taking this seriously. How do you create your presence? How do you create a brand? Get over your fear of hiding and not being seen. You don't have to scream that you're looking for a job. As I said the other day, passive candidates are hugely recruited by recruiters and employers. So you don't have to scream out, I'm looking for a job. That's not even being effective anymore anyway. Just share what it is you do, create that presence, present your best self and what the best partner or organization or role you're looking for, and you will start to see things shift for you. So that's what I got today. As always, thank you for listening. You're welcome to follow me on LinkedIn if you want to hear more content, articles from me. The other thing is, if you are seriously interested in getting more help from me, message me headline, serious inquiry only. Thank you.